Latest.
Plus, Democratic gubernatorial candidate Hannah Pingree has picked up the endorsement from current Maine Governor Janet Mills.
And the Maine Discovery Museum and the Hollywood Casino will be hosting the Maine Science Awards. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Janessa Bishop.
And I'm Craig Colson. Thank you for joining us. We'll have the latest on those stories and more coming up. But first, a check of that forecast. Boy, yesterday was just like summer around here.
It was. It was really humid, too.
Yeah, it was humid. The temperatures got up into the 80s. Not bad for folks that love this kind of weather.
I'll take it after this winter.
Yeah, and if you like it, you're in luck because it looks like we're having another day of it.
It sure does.
Yeah.
We'll turn things over to meteorologist Devin Biggs.
And thank you very much, Craig and Janessa. Happy Wednesday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Rogan's Memorials. Give the gift of comfort through thoughtful planning with locations in Bangor, Bucksport, and Lincoln. Alrighty, here we go. We have an advisory posted. This right here is a small craft advisory that will last until 8 p.m. this evening along the coast. We are watching for some active surf that will be lasting until about that time frame. Meanwhile, we have some clouds that are approaching with a cold front off toward the west. We will have some more record highs that could fall throughout the region today as this cold front approaches from the west. As we do zoom things out, we can see that system right there. The good news, temperatures will become more comfortable once this cold front passes later on tonight. Meanwhile, here's the futurecast. Again, some showers and a few thunderstorms are possible today. Tonight we will become partly cloudy, and tomorrow a lot of sunshine will be expected. It will be rather windy out there today with some gusty winds up to 25 to even 30 miles per hour, and we will hold on to the wind later on tonight and the parts of tomorrow. Alrighty, your hourly forecast pushing forward. We will have some clouds and sunshine, a chance for a few thunderstorms during the afternoon with temperatures in the 80s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Craig and Janessa.
All right, thank you, Devin. We'll see you a little later on. Well, first this morning, firefighters had their hands full with a stubborn fire last night in Vassalboro. They were called to the Platinum and Core scrapyard on Riverside Drive right around 8:45. Arriving units discovered flames had erupted in the rear of the building. Fire crews quickly deployed their lines and knocked down the bulk of the fire in a short amount of time. We're happy to report that no one was in the building at the time and no injuries are reported. The fire marshal's office is now looking for a cause of that fire.
Officials from multiple state agencies offered a robust update on the investigation into the fire and explosion at Robbins Lumber Mill on Friday. They've been conducting interviews and picking through the debris with hopes of finding a cause for the deadly event. Our Alex Schley has the very latest.
Officials have made it clear that this is still an open and ongoing investigation. Agents from the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives have been called in to assist with the investigation. And as of today, at least 150 people have already been interviewed. Over the course of the 48-hour period since fire officials came on scene, 299 first responders from 46 departments across Maine responded to Searsmont.
Monday, we brought in heavy equipment on the scene to assist investigators in moving the large metal pieces and the structural debris in the area where we needed to work. Investigators also utilized drones and mapping technology to document the locations of all the firefighting equipment that was left at the scene and damaged or destroyed.
Investigators say on Wednesday, several large cranes will be brought in to help address the remains of the silo.
Try to figure out what's left and what we can gain from the debris underneath. And the investigators will continue processing the scene carefully, methodically, and safely.
State fire marshal officials say they hope to complete the on-scene portion of the investigation within the next few days. From there, however, officials say they're still unable to provide a timeline for when they'll be able to officially say what caused the catastrophic fire and explosion. Maine State Fire Marshal Sean Essler says he has met with fire chiefs from the responding departments, and they wanted him to pass along their gratitude for the public's overwhelming support.
They want the public to know how deeply appreciative they are for the support they have received. One chief told me that the volume of hugs he has received has increased significantly in the last several days, and honestly, that says a lot about this area and its people.
In conjunction with the National Fallen Firefighter Foundation, the local assistance state team is working to secure state and federal death benefits for firefighter Cross and his family.
And we're told 8 people remain hospitalized, including several members of the family that owns Robbins Lumber Company. They were also injured in that blast. Well, according to the fire marshal's office, multiple departments sustained damage to their fire trucks and equipment during that Sears-Mont incident. Our Grace Blanchard has more on how that's impacting departments that are already limited on their resources.
Officials have made it clear that this is still an open and ongoing investigation. Agents from the Bureau of
Seeing the plume of black smoke, it puts a lump in your throat.
In the aftermath of the Sears-Mont fire, the Belmont Fire Department is supporting injured firefighter Catherine Page and navigating the loss of a critical tank truck.
Everything in rural Maine volunteer department, everything matters.
Sears-Mont, Appleton, and Belmont all sustained damage to their fire apparatus, impacting area emergency coverage.
Sears-Mont's going to be hugely affected because they've lost 2 of their immediate mutual aid towns' trucks, plus their attack trucks.
On top of that, Chief Harford says the department lost between $50,000 to $60,000 worth of equipment that was on the truck.
All the equipment on them, that's thousands of dollars of replacement, and just some of the things are just irreplaceable.
They are exploring grant opportunities, but according to Chief Harford,
there's so many fire departments that are in need across the United States. They're just few and far between.
He says the area departments plan to lean on one another and share resources, but he says the truck is not their biggest loss.
Mr. Cross is our biggest thing we lost. I knew him personally. He was a tremendous firefighter, a tremendous person.
His message to others is simple.
If I can say anything away from the fire service, away from everything, is, come together as a community.
In Belmont, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, there are multiple upcoming memorial events that we also want to tell you about. First, at the Cross Insurance Center in Bangor on Thursday, there will be a celebration of the life and legacy of Maine Game Warden pilot Joshua Tibbetts, who was killed in the line of duty in a plane crash last week. The service begins at 1 p.m. Guests should plan to arrive and be seated by noon. And also on Thursday, a fire department visitation will be held at the Raspada Funeral Home in Belfast to honor moral firefighter Andrew Cross. The hours are from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Parking will be located at Troy Howard Middle School, and shuttle buses will run to and from the funeral home. On Friday, a private funeral for family and close friends and invited departments will also be held at Veracity Chapel in Morrill. Governor Mills has directed the United States and state of Maine flags to be lowered statewide from sunrise to sunset on Friday, May 22nd in honor of firefighter Cross.
Well, Governor Mills has also ordered flags to be lowered tomorrow in remembrance of Game Warden Joshua Tibbetts, who died in that plane crash, and for the Honorable Gerald Talbot. Talbot was Maine's first black legislator and the founding president of the Maine NAACP. He will be honored at Merrill Auditorium in Portland at 10 o'clock on Thursday morning. In a statement, Mills said, quote, Gerald Talbot made history as Maine's first black legislator and helped open the doors for generations of Maine people. Warden Joshua Tibbetts devoted his career to protecting the people, wildlife, and natural resources of our state. I urge all Maine people to join me in honoring their service and their lasting contributions to our state.
Well, Bangor police are investigating an alleged shooting incident that injured a dog. Details are very few at this time, but police say officers responded to a call of shots being fired in the vicinity of March Street a little before 9 on Tuesday morning. According to the Bangor Daily, Samuel Robichaud told police that he took his dog out on a leash while taking out the trash, and somehow the dog got away. A neighbor then opened fire as the dog ran toward the person. The animal has been transported to a local veterinary hospital where it's being treated and is expected to live. The incident remains under investigation and no charges have been filed at this point.
Hannaford says a labeling error has triggered a recall of certain rolls from all of their stores. Hannaford says the impacted products are the 8-pack of Nature's Promise ciabatta rolls and the 8-pack of Nature Promise cheddar ciabatta rolls. The impacted products were purchased between May 10th and May 18th and may be missing an egg allergen warning on the label. If you purchase these products and have an egg allergy, Hannaford says don't eat them. Simply bring them in a receipt to your nearby store for a full refund.
Well, the time now is 6:10. Coming up next on Good Morning Maine, Republican candidate for governor Jonathan Bush was campaigning in Waldo County. We'll have more ahead.
But first, another check of that forecast. Another nice day ahead. It will be partly cloudy with a chance of a few thunderstorms. High temperatures around 87 degrees. A real scorcher. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, or rather tonight, partly cloudy with lows dropping down to the mid-40s. And then tomorrow, partly cloudy, highs around 63. Get cooling off a little bit tomorrow.
A little bit.
Back with more right after this.
Let's go, ball in.
This spring, invest in your nest with the County Federal Credit Union. Your home has grown in value season after season. With the county's 10-10 Home Equity Line of Credit, you can borrow up to your credit limit over 10 years with interest-only payments over those 10 years. 10-10. And then you can stop and smell the roses, soak up the sun, and invest in your nest. The 10-10 Home Equity Line of Credit, the County Federal Credit Union, countyfcu.org.
Situated in Jonesboro on the coast of Maine lies Barren View Golf Course, a true links course that's a treat for golfers of all skill levels. We feature a driving range, putting green, practice sand trap, pro shop, and snack bar. Open 7 days a week. Please call ahead for a tee time.
When you combine a fast-paced word game,
4 of them make $1.
Quarters! Hosted by Leah Remini.
What is, swing? Did you just say what is? You just realized you're not on Jeopardy. Okay.
You've got a recipe for fun.
I got a few dances, Leah. I like to do this guy here. At weddings, I kill it.
You do not kill nothing with that.
People Puzzler.
Weekdays at 10 on ABC 7.
Republican candidate for governor and founder of Athena Health, Jonathan Bush, was campaigning in Waldo County on Tuesday. Bush received a tour of Matthews Brothers in Belfast. The company is the oldest window manufacturer in the nation. Bush is proposing what he calls the Belfast Playbook, a model he says has brought jobs and reduced the cost of living in the Mid-Coast. If elected governor, he says he wants to cut taxes and simplify regulations to help promote growth for businesses like Matthews Brothers and others across the state.
We want to be the small business capital of the world, but these medium businesses and large businesses represent the first jolt of economic energy if we allow this state's economy to wake up.
Bush argues the state's overall business climate and economic outlook is poor compared to other states. He said his first act as governor will be to declare an economic growth emergency.
Democratic gubernatorial candidate Hannah Pingree has picked up an endorsement from someone who is familiar with the job she's seeking. Current Governor Janet Mills endorsed Pingree yesterday, saying Pingree is the best prepared candidate to lead the state through the challenges ahead. In a statement, Mills said, quote, "I've known Hannah for many years, and I can say without a doubt that she is a leader of courage, integrity, strength, compassion, and action. Someone who is unafraid to fight for what is right and who will deliver for Maine people day after day."
The Hollywood Casino will be partnering up with the Maine Discovery Museum for the inaugural Maine Science Awards. Officials from both organizations say people and institutions in our state are doing amazing work in scientific fields, and it's making an impact on Maine and the world in some cases. They say establishing an awards program to honor them is long overdue.
Science is happening every single day in Maine, and to think that we haven't recognized the people and the organizations that are facilitating that is just wild to me.
Well, officials say they are looking at the broad picture of science, not specific categories, and will be taking nominations starting on June 1st. Complete details will be on the Maine Discovery Museum's website, and the inaugural awards dinner will be held at Hollywood Casino in October.
Good to get some of that recognition out
there.
there.
I agree.
Well, the time now is 6:15. After the break, there's new information regarding the deadly attack on the Islamic Center in San Diego. We'll have the latest ahead.
Plus, an artist from Blue Hill is creating sculptures that depict woodland creatures. We'll give you a look straight ahead on Good Morning Maine.
When you work in disaster services, the phone rings at all hours. Knobscott Cleaning, can I help you? People appreciate hearing a real voice on the other end. Since 1976, that personal touch has set us apart. When disaster strikes, you just want your life back to normal. You want a reputable company, someone you can trust. We take care of things and give you peace of mind. I'm Jason Sear, owner of Penobscot Cleaning Services. 24/7, we're here for you.
Davis Brothers Furniture is expanding. At Davis Brothers, we've always strived to stand out from the rest, and we are now proud to offer flooring for your home, featuring both carpeting and luxury vinyl flooring. We even have an installer in-house with over 30 years of experience. Come see the reason people have been traveling from all over the state and beyond to Davis Brothers Furniture in Guilford for decades. Davis Brothers Furniture, deliberately different, delivering statewide.
It's Costa's Restaurant and Bar.
It's Costa's Restaurant and Bar.
Costa's.
Costa's.
No matter how you say it, you're going to love it. We offer a huge selection of homemade Greek, American, and Italian dishes that you can enjoy in our front dining room. Or take a seat at the bar. With our Dine for $29 special, get an appetizer, 2 meals, and a dessert, all for just $29.99. And don't forget our event space has plenty of room to accommodate your party.
It's Costa's.
Costa's.
A delicious experience that doesn't cost a lot.
An artist from Blue Hill is using pine cones, moss, and other items that she finds in nature to create unforgettable animal sculptures.
Our Jody Hersey found her artwork on display at the Edith Dyer Library in Hamden.
This is Otis. Otis the otter.
Holly Bertrand's woodland creatures are on display on top of the bookshelves at the Edith Dyer Library in Hamden, and it's all thanks to her hairdresser.
The librarian, Mary Beckett, and I have the same hairdresser. And so my hairdresser said, you need to meet Mary because I was just showing her some of your work and they have the little library in the woods and your things would be perfect there.
Bertrand, who taught art for 40 years in Bucksport, now spends her retirement days enjoying the Maine outdoors.
Through the woods, I would notice that a lot of mosses and lichens would fall out of the trees, especially after big windstorms and rainstorms. So I started collecting it and kind of experimenting with it to see how strong and resilient it is.
She uses paper mache as a base and then attaches moss, lichen, pine cones, or other items she finds on her walks to create her sculptures. Bertrand says it can take up to 30 hours to complete a piece of artwork depending on the amount of detail she uses.
If I'm using a lot of pine cones with my work, I literally deconstruct the pine cone and take each petal off and trim it to size.
There are currently 18 sculptures in her menagerie, and there may be room for even more.
I may do a koala bear with a baby on its back neck, so I'm kind of branching out.
In Hamden, I'm Jody Hersey for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Aren't those neat? Ooh.
Yeah, she's so creative,
yeah,
using all those different factors.
Yeah, it makes me almost want to go try it myself.
Me too.
Yeah, I don't think they'd be as good though.
No. Well, now here's meteorologist Devin Biggs with our full weather forecast.
Alrighty, Craig and Janessa, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Rogan's Memorials. Give the gift of comfort through thoughtful planning with locations in Bangor, Bucksport, and Lincoln. Alrighty, here we go. Small craft advisory up until 8 p.m. this evening along the coast. Watching for some active surf as a cold front passes through later on. In the meantime, wave heights a little bit active depending on where you're at. The buoys just off to the south and west, not too bad at around 3 feet. Further off towards the north and east, a little more active. Again, that small craft advisory dropping later on this evening. A little more active farther out towards sea at around 4 to 9 feet according toward those buoys. Meanwhile, the air quality a lot better after we saw code orange air quality yesterday. No advisories posted, at least today. Meanwhile, moving forward, we have a cold front pushing in from the west and going pulling toward the east. That'll bring us an opportunity for a few showers and thunderstorms. Dew points will be up there today as well. But once we get this cold front through, temperatures will drop, becoming more comfortable as dew points fall as well. So here's Futurecast. Again, some clouds and a few showers and thunderstorms today. Will become partly cloudy later on this evening. And then once we head towards tomorrow, some clouds still lingering, but a lot of sunshine will be seen. Once we head towards Thursday night, we'll lose the clouds, becoming mostly clear, and Friday starting off very nice with a lot of sunshine. So your muggy meter showing, again, dew points in the mid-60s today, so rather muggy out there. But again, once we head towards tonight, feeling much better out there as we do get that cold front through. So windy out there today with gusty winds up to at least 30 miles per hour, holding on to that wind later on tonight, and still more wind as we head towards the daytime tomorrow. Average high is 67 degrees, well above normal today, but feeling better as we head towards Thursday and beyond. So your forecast coming up for today: partly cloudy, a few thunderstorms, highs near record high temperatures in the upper 80s, and that southwest wind up to 30 miles per hour. For tonight, we have mid-40s out there, partly cloudy and breezy, northwest wind up to 25 miles per hour. And then for tomorrow, lower 60s out there, partly cloudy and breezy, and that northwest wind up to around 25 miles per hour. Let's check out your extended forecast. Mostly sunny for your Friday with highs in the low 70s. Mostly cloudy for your Saturday with highs also in the low 70s. And then here we are for Sunday, mostly cloudy, highs in the low 60s.
At Spectrum, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between speed, reliability, and value. That's why Spectrum fiber-powered internet gives you all three for just $40 a month. No contracts, no commitment. Just great internet at a great price. Spectrum fiber-powered internet delivers the fastest and most reliable internet for everything you do at home. Streaming, gaming, and connecting. Switch today and get Spectrum fiber-powered internet for just $40 a month. Call now or go online.
Over 250 years ago, we didn't like the taxes, so we dumped the tea. Today, that same unstoppable spirit drives Ram. Now with the Ram Declaration of Deals, we're pledging our allegiance to the American people. 0% financing for 60 months on select 2026 models, or we'll cover your sales tax, plus no monthly payments for 90 days, and a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Because a promise means nothing unless you back it up. Nothing stops America. Nothing stops Ram.
Look at our kitty.
Brand name scrubs and Dansko footwear. Style and comfort at work. Miller's Workshop for brands that work.
Let Hellman's Bakery put a smile on your face with their tasty offerings of breads, baked beans, lasagna, tuche and turkey pies, fruit and cream pies, wedding and specialty cakes, pastries, and more. Hillman's, your hometown bakery, Fairfield.
When it comes to your home, go to the source. Go to R&B's Home Source in Madison. R&B's Home Source has home comfort, convenience, and savings all wrapped up in one location. From the living room to the dining room to the bedroom, we have some of the best values in furniture and bedding. For the kitchen, R&B's Home Source has top-notch appliances from fridges to ranges, even washers and dryers. And sit back and relax with quality electronics. We service everything we sell too. For your home, go to the source. R&B's Home Source, Lakewood Road, Madison.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
New information in the aftermath of the deadly attack on an Islamic center in San Diego. There are new details about the teens behind that attack, a troubling past, and how their lives ended on Monday. All that as those who knew and loved the victims are coming together and speaking out. Here's ABC's Sophie Flay.
A community coming together in grief at a vigil for 3 people killed in the attack at the Islamic Center of San Diego.
The hate behind this violence is wrong.
As we learn new details about the 17 and 18-year-olds identified as the shooters. Sources say last year, police in nearby Chula Vista made contact with Caleb Vasquez, then a juvenile, after someone who knew him raised concerns he was interested in extremist ideology and mass casualty attacks. An officer reviewed Vasquez's social media accounts, allegedly finding neo-Nazi rhetoric. But sources say the concerns did not rise to the level of an arrest. It's unclear whether there was any follow-up. Investigators say the two teens arrived at the mosque Monday wearing body armor and camouflage, armed with shotguns, rifles, and handguns, and ran past security guard Amin Abdullah, who exchanged gunfire with the teens before being fatally wounded. The gunman making it into the building, coming within 15 feet of the children at the Islamic Center school. But officials say they turned back to the parking lot to shoot two other men, Mansour Kaziha, who ran a shop at the mosque, and Nadir Awad, whose wife teaches at the school.
I felt a bit scared. My legs were shaking in my hands.
Police believe approaching sirens caused the suspects to speed off in their car, firing at a landscaper nearby, before sources say one teen apparently killed his accomplice before turning the gun on himself. Back in San Diego, the focus is on the lives lost. The daughter of security guard Amin Abdullah, who sacrificed his life to protect the kids in that school, remembered her father.
He stood against any form of hate. He took his job seriously to protect everyone here. He would want our community to stand together as one. That's exactly what he would want.
Sophie Flay, ABC News, New York.
Meanwhile, a former teacher in Virginia who was shot by one of her young students has taken the stand in a first-of-its-kind trial. That teacher is not facing charges. A school administrator is for not doing enough to stop that shooting. Sophie Flay with that story.
It was more than 3 years ago. Gunfire inside this Virginia elementary school. A 6-year-old shooting his teacher.
He was holding a gun, the student, it was pointed right at me, and then I was shot.
First grade teacher Abby Werner was the one who was shot. The bullet went through her hand, narrowly missed her heart, and remains in her chest. She needed 6 surgeries and still hasn't regained full use of her left hand. Now, the school's former assistant principal, Ebony Parker, is on trial, charged with felony child neglect. Accused of ignoring warnings that the child, referred to as JT, had a gun and was violent.
I went to Dr. Parker and I told her that 2 girls came to me and said that JT had a gun in the bag.
Prosecutors also claim Parker denied a counselor's request to search the boy.
She didn't even get up from her desk. She didn't even leave her office. Warning after warning after warning, she did nothing.
But Parker's attorney pushing back, saying Werner failed to separate JT from his classmates and that other members of the school staff should have acted if they believed a gun was present.
Each one of those individuals had the authority to remove those classmates or to remove JT if they thought that those students were presented with any kind of threat or harm or danger.
A jury previously awarded Werner $10 million in a civil trial, finding Parker acted with gross negligence. Sophie Flay, ABC News, New York.
A stunning addition to an unprecedented settlement to end President Trump's lawsuit against the IRS. ABC's Lionel Moyes is in New York with the reaction and what this means for the president's family.
This morning, critics reacting to an extraordinary move by the Justice Department, now declaring the IRS will be forever barred and precluded from prosecuting or pursuing pending tax claims against President Trump, his family, and their companies. One tax policy expert calling that a breathtaking abuse of the tax and legal system. It's an addendum to Trump's settlement with the IRS over leaking his tax returns. The administration is also defending a fund stemming from that settlement, $1.8 billion of taxpayer money that will be used to compensate people who claim they were mistreated by the Biden Justice Department, a group that could include people charged in connection with the January 6th attack on the Capitol.
Will individuals who assaulted Capitol Hill police officers be eligible for this fund?
Well, as it explained, anybody is
just let me know if they're eligible for the fund.
Anybody in this country is eligible to apply if they believe they were victim of weaponization.
Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche is promising transparency, while Democrats claim it will be a slush fund for Trump allies. Senator Elizabeth Warren calling it an insane level of corruption, even for Trump. This is Vice President Vance in a White House briefing refused to rule out payments for January 6 defendants when pressed by ABC's chief Washington correspondent Jonathan Karl.
We do have people who were accused of attacking law enforcement officers. That doesn't mean that we're going to completely ignore some of the claims that they're going to make.
As for the settlement barring audits of President Trump's taxes, experts say it's a form of presidential immunity that could shield Trump from significant financial liability. Some, though, are questioning whether the Justice Department even has that authority. Lionel Moise, ABC News, New York.
The Board of Peace, an international body set up by President Trump to oversee the fragile ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, will reportedly ask the United Nations Security Council to press Hamas to disarm. According to a Board of Peace report seen by the Associated Press on Tuesday, the principal obstacle to fully implementing the ceasefire is Hamas's refusal to disarm. In a statement, Hamas rejected the report and said it contained fallacies, adding that it ignores Israel's, quote, failure to uphold the majority of its commitments. While President Trump's 20-point ceasefire plan does call on Hamas to surrender its weapons and destroy its network of tunnels, it also calls for Israeli forces to withdraw from Gaza, a new technocratic Palestinian government, deploying an international security force and rebuilding the city following years of war. However, the Board of Peace said last week that the truce has stalled since taking effect in October, adding, quote, reconstruction cannot commence where weapons have not been laid down, and the report is expected to be discussed by the Security Council on Thursday when it meets on the situation in the Middle East.
Coming up on the second half of the newscast, a world-famous restaurant in Vegas had announced that it is now unfortunately shutting down.
We'll hear the story coming up on Good Morning Maine.
Think you know Robert Charles? Think again. While President Trump was crushing the woke left, DC insider Bob Charles was cashing in, making millions holding lucrative contracts with the woke DEI Never Trump Obama administration. Bob Charles, looking the other way, abandoning the MAGA movement, working for liberal DEI-loving Democrats, failing President Trump. Anything for a buck chuck can't be trusted. Trump traitor Robert Charles, woke, radical, wrong. Just too liberal for Maine.
I saw that he was kind of shady because he started trying to extort more money from me.
A tenant runs down her list of problems.
Mr. Yoder became verbally abusive to me.
That was why you decided to leave?
But the judge has an issue of her own.
The one thing that you said in your complaint was, Ron slapped me so hard in the face, he hurt his hand.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, how come you didn't tell me about that first?
Judge Judy.
Wednesday at 5 on ABC 7.
The fun never stops at Wheel.
You got it! It's a call! And the crowd goes wild. A truly historic bonus round on Wheel of Fortune. Somebody could win $500,000. Where are you going? To pass out? Exciting giveaways ahead, like fabulous vacations, and let's manifest another $1 million winner. You're a millionaire! Oh my God!
Weekdays at 7 on ABC 7.
Half-off deals are waiting for you at foxbangor.com.
Last season on Jeopardy!
How is anybody ever going to beat this guy?
A shocking end to a streak for the ages.
I did not expect to win.
Now the stage is set. Who will step in and light it up? New players.
It is very fun.
Bigger stakes.
I'm excited already.
And a chance to shine.
What a great competition.
The all-new season of Jeopardy!
Yes, finally.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
Welcome back, everyone. Today is Wednesday, May 20th, 2026, and it is also World Bee Day.
On this day, beekeeping events are held to educate the public about the importance of bees. Bees are one of the most crucial pollinators and have a very important role in the food that we eat. But they've also been under threat, which is why it's important to consider actions to protect them. Some people consider taking up beekeeping as a hobby, but we can all take some small measures to help bees in our own yards as well.
Yeah, keeping the bees in mind when you're spreading things like pesticides
Right.
and cutting the dandelions too soon,
Right, yeah.
you know, things like that. I
Yeah.
let mine grow a little bit longer this year.
Good.
Because pollinators are busy, and without them, you don't have food.
Exactly.
You know?
It's important to do no mow May for at least a little while.
Right,
And,
yeah.
and protect them that way.
Yeah, that was my excuse, though, for being lazy.
Right.
And just putting off the lawn mowing for a while. I'm helping the bees.
I'm helping.
Yeah. All right, let's get to some history. It was on this date back in 1862. President Abraham Lincoln signed the Homestead Act to encourage people to settle in the West. It granted 160 acres of land to any head of family who cultivated that land for 5 years. About 10% of the land area in the U.S. would be privatized by 1934. That happened pretty quickly.
Yeah, well, we were saying that we'd probably have moved out west too if we were
somebody's-
getting a free 160 acres.
Yes, they don't do that. You can't do that anymore, but imagine that.
Yeah.
In 1873 on this date, businessman Levi Strauss and tailor Jacob Davis were given a patent for blue jeans. The pants with reinforced metal rivets became one of the world's best-selling garments. And in 1927, aviator Charles Lindbergh took off from Long Island in the spirit of St. Louis. He used that plane to complete the first nonstop solo flight across the Atlantic Ocean. And you can see the spirit of St. Louis in the Smithsonian Museum.
Oh, really?
It's sitting right there.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah.
In 1956, the United States exploded the first airborne hydrogen bomb over Bikini Atoll in the Pacific. In 1969, U.S. and Allied troops captured an important hilltop during the Vietnam War. The victory came after 10 days of bloody assaults and led to the growing public outcry over the military policy in Vietnam. American troops who fought there called it Hamburger Hill because the hill casualty rate reminded them of a meat grinder.
Just a horrible, horrible
that one's
battle.
a little dark.
Yeah.
And lastly, in 1990, the Hubble Space Telescope sent back its first photographs, offering unprecedented views of the cosmos.
All right, for birthdays today, they include actor Timothy Olyphant, who is 58 today. Rapper Busta Rhymes is 54. And pop icon Cher is 80 years old today.
She definitely doesn't look 80.
No, she's had some help in that department, I think. But good for her, you know?
I love Cher.
Yeah.
Well, now let's turn things right back over to meteorologist Stephen Biggs.
And thank you very much, Craig and Janessa. Happy Wednesday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Rogan's Memorials. Give the gift of comfort through thoughtful planning with locations in Bangor, Bucksport, and Lincoln. Alrighty, here we go. We have an advisory posted. This right here is a small craft advisory that will last until 8 p.m. this evening along the coast. We are watching for some active surf that will be lasting until about that time frame. Meanwhile, we have some clouds that are approaching with a cold front off toward the west. We will have some more record highs that could fall throughout the region today as this cold front approaches from the west. As we do zoom things out, we can see that system right there. The good news, temperatures will become more comfortable once this cold front passes later on tonight. Meanwhile, here's the futurecast. Again, some showers and a few thunderstorms are possible today. Tonight we will become partly cloudy, and tomorrow a lot of sunshine will be expected. It will be rather windy out there today with some gusty winds up to 25 to even 30 miles per hour, and we will hold on to the wind later on tonight and the parts of tomorrow. Alrighty, your hourly forecast pushing forward. We will have some clouds and sunshine, a chance for a few thunderstorms during the afternoon with temperatures in the 80s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Craig and Janessa.
All right, thank you, Devin. Well, in Ellenwood, Georgia, rising gas prices have pushed one handyman to turn childhood nostalgia into an unlikely solution for modern fuel costs. Mally Hightower transformed a pink Power Wheels Barbie dream camper into a fully functioning road vehicle by installing a 2-gallon, 1-piston engine salvaged from an old power washer. With one pull of the lawnmower-style ripcord, the tiny camper sputters to life and rolls onto roads near his Georgia neighborhood. Hightower owns several vehicles that require premium gasoline, but says even filling up his minivan now costs more than $60. The Barbie camper cost only a fraction of that to operate. Why not?
Yeah, why not?
I don't know if it's legal to be on the
know,
roads.
That's what I was wondering too. But I mean, if it's maybe just around his little neighborhood,
yeah, turn into like a go-kart or something like that.
I thought that was absolutely hilarious.
Wouldn't want to get in a crash with it, though. No.
Well, still to come here this morning, Jack Webb with sports.
Don't go away.
Are you in need of remodeling your bathroom? Want to convert your tub into a safe walk-in shower? Call the experts at Bangor Bathrooms by Design now. They offer complete bathroom remodels, and from start to finish, your satisfaction is guaranteed. Call them now and save thousands. 659-6457. Enjoy that brand new bathroom you've always wanted from Bangor Bathrooms by Design. Transforming bathrooms, elevating lives.
Think you know Robert Charles? Think again. While President Trump was crushing the woke left, DC insider Bob Charles was cashing in, making millions holding lucrative contracts with the woke DEI Never Trump Obama administration. Bob Charles, looking the other way, abandoning the MAGA movement, working for liberal DEI-loving Democrats, failing President Trump. Anything for a buck chuck can't be trusted. Trump traitor Robert Charles, woke, radical, wrong. Just too liberal for Maine.
Do you take propane tank?
Anything goes.
How about cardboard?
Anything goes.
How about old rug?
Yeah, anything goes.
So this too?
Furniture removal, basements, garages, attics, hoarder houses. It doesn't matter here at Anything Goes Junk Removal. Anything goes. Well, almost anything.
ABC 7 and Fox 22's Jack Webb named Maine's Sportscaster of the Year by the National Sports Media Association.
Welcome back, folks. We'll start with some breaking news in the NBA from Tuesday night. The Dallas Mavericks have fired their head coach. Jason Kidd has been let go after 5 seasons in Dallas. This comes after the Mavs missed the playoffs the past 2 years. Kidd exits with a perfectly even 205 and 205 record in his tenure as head coach. The search is now on for who will lead the charge and manage the Cooper Flag era down there in Dallas. A big decision ahead. We'll go to some high school softball action now. Let's make the trip up to Howland, where the PVHS Howlers face the Bangor Christian Patriots. Howlers held a perfect 8-0 record going into this one, looking to make it 9-0. This one starts with the Patriots in the first inning. Pitcher Addison Tucker hits one, and that takes her base. The Patriots were held scoreless in the first thanks to this great double play, caught for the first out by Paxton King and then thrown to Nicole Solomon for the second. Great play there. Tucker then keeps the Howlers off the board with this strikeout to end the inning. But that wouldn't last long. In the second inning, the floodgates open when Charlotte Doobie hits one. A few Patriots mishaps, all 3 runners on base to score 3-0. Then the same frame, McKenna Ireland hits this one deep, and everyone comes home. An inside the park home run for Ireland. That ends a 10-run inning for the Howlers. Folks, you were not seeing double. In the very next inning, Ireland does it again. A deep hit, this time to right field, and it's another inside the park home run that ends the game in a 3-inning, 15-0 win for the PVHS Howlers. Their head coach says the dominant win was a direct result of good decision-making on offense.
We've told the kids in practice and in the games that they really need to pick good pitches to swing at. If we're swinging at stuff over our head, nothing good's going to come from that. So just really waiting for what is their perfect pitch.
Big one for PVHS. They stay undefeated. Now for some good news from the Boston Red Sox. While we've got it, they picked up a win over the Kansas City Royals on Monday night after a tough weekend in Atlanta. Pitching was again the key to success for the Sox, which has seemingly been the case when they've captured success this season. Sonny Gray had a great outing, going 6 complete innings while striking out 9 batters and giving up 0 runs on 5 hits with just 1 walk. Gray has been a positive for the Sox this season with a 5-2 record and a 2.93 ERA so far. He says he has one singular focus.
I don't know. My only goal is to win the games that I pitch, no matter what it looks like. I want to, like I said, my one goal is to win the games that you start, and you know that's all that's all I really want to do.
Sox kept it going on Tuesday night, winning 7-1 against the Royals. They'll look for the sweep on Wednesday. It is an exciting time in professional sports as both the NBA and NHL are in the conference finals round. Let's start by taking a look at the NBA in the East. New York Knicks taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. New York coming off a series sweep of the 76ers, and the Cavs just wrapped up a 7-game series with the Pistons. That game 1 was on Tuesday night. In the West, the back-to-back league MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the Oklahoma City Thunder will look to make a run at a second straight title in their conference final matchup against the San Antonio Spurs, but will have some work to do as Wemby and the Spurs are already up 1-0 in that series. Victor Wembanyama had a crazy performance in Game 1, dropping 41 points and 24 rebounds in that Spurs win. And let's freeze over the court and take a look at what's ahead in the NHL. They, too, are in the conference final round in the Eastern Conference. The Carolina Hurricanes will take on the Montreal Canadiens. Hurricanes are yet to lose a playoff game this season and have been patiently waiting for their opponent in Montreal, who just clinched their spot with a Game 7 win over Buffalo on Monday. And in the West, the dominant Colorado Avalanche will face the Vegas Golden Knights. Colorado may be the favorite for the Cup. They took care of business versus the Minnesota Wild to get here. The Golden Knights defeated the Anaheim Ducks in 6 games, so they make their way back to the conference title round. The conference final round will begin on Wednesday with the Avs against the Golden Knights. Very intrigued by that Carolina Hurricane series. They've been in the conference final so many times. Will they finally get over the hump and make it to the Stanley Cup final? Time will tell. For now, that's all the time we have for sports. Right back after the break.
Why should your new floor come from Carpet One? Because we're passionate about the spaces our neighbors call home. We're part of your community, and we're also part of the world's largest cooperative of independently owned and operated flooring stores. So you can be sure you'll get great selection and outstanding value with every installation. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, tile, or luxury vinyl, our experts take the guesswork out of choosing the right floor. We're your local Carpet One Floor and Home, the one store for your perfect floor.
For 20 years, Graham Plattner has shared his hateful and bigoted beliefs online. Police officers who keep us safe, Plattner says they're all bastards. Black people, Plattner insults them and says they don't tip. And if you dare disagree with Graham Plattner, he calls you retarded and a fag. 20 years of nonstop bigotry and hate from Graham Plattner. Read it yourself at bigotedplattner.com. Pine Tree Results Pack is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Do you take propane tank?
Anything goes.
How about cardboard?
Anything goes.
How about old rug?
Yeah, anything goes.
So this too?
Furniture removal, basements, garages, attics, hoarder houses. It doesn't matter here at Anything Goes Junk Removal. Anything goes. Well, almost anything.
Welcome back, everyone. Now to Las Vegas and what some are calling the end of an era in these changing times. ABC's Hannah Battah with that story.
It's a sign of the times in Sin City. The Heart Attack Grill, known for its indulgent menu offered for free to those weighing more than 350 pounds, has announced it will close. The restaurant became world famous for its massive portions, hospital gown dress code, and spankings for customers unable to finish their food. The restaurant jokingly saying, "We're proud of our 21-year impact on America's waistline." But it's also addressing the factors it says led to its closure, saying the soul of Las Vegas has been replaced by corporate greed. Our core value, eat big and laugh loud, no longer fits a city peddling $40 artisanal avocado toast, adding that the city has excluded the middle class and lost its swagger in the process. Las Vegas recently has seen a significant downturn in tourism, the biggest since the pandemic, with Americans turned off by high prices and international travelers taking their vacation dollars elsewhere.
We need to let travelers around the world know that we want their business. We certainly understand some of the issues we have here in the United States, the focus on illegal immigration. Unfortunately, some travelers around the world are wondering if legal visitors are welcome.
Critics worry Vegas is becoming a place only for high rollers, but Sin City's luck may finally be changing. A 13-month streak of declining visitor numbers was finally snapped recently, thanks to events like trade shows, auto racing, and sports tournaments. The owner of the Heart Attack Grill says he intends to relocate the restaurant outside of Vegas. Hannah Battah, ABC News, New York.
Well, now here's meteorologist Devin Biggs with our full weather forecast.
Alrighty, Craig and Janessa, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Rogan's Memorials. Give the gift of comfort through thoughtful planning with locations in Bangor, Bucksport, and Lincoln. Alrighty, here we go. Small craft advisory up until 8 p.m. this evening along the coast. Watching for some active surf as a cold front passes through later on. In the meantime, wave heights a little bit active depending on where you're at. The buoys just off to the south and west, not too bad at around 3 feet. Further off towards the north and east, a little more active. Again, that small craft advisory dropping later on this evening. A little more active farther out towards sea at around 4 to 9 feet according toward those buoys. Meanwhile, the air quality a lot better after we saw code orange air quality yesterday. No advisories posted, at least today. Meanwhile, moving forward, we have a cold front pushing in from the west and going toward the east. That'll bring us an opportunity for a few showers and thunderstorms. Dew points will be up there today as well. But once we get this cold front through, temperatures will drop, becoming more comfortable as dew points fall as well. So here's Futurecast. Again, some clouds and a few showers and thunderstorms today. Will become partly cloudy later on this evening. And then once we head towards tomorrow, some clouds still lingering, but a lot of sunshine will be seen. Once we head towards Thursday night, we'll lose the clouds, becoming mostly clear, and Friday starting off very nice with a lot of sunshine. So your muggy meter showing, again, dew points in the mid-60s today, so rather muggy out there. But again, once we head towards tonight, feeling much better out there as we do get that cold front through. So windy out there today with gusty winds up to at least 30 miles per hour, holding on to that wind later on tonight, and still more wind as we head towards the daytime tomorrow. Average high is 67 degrees, well above normal today, but feeling better as we head towards Thursday and beyond. So your forecast coming up for today: partly cloudy, a few thunderstorms, highs near record high temperatures in the upper 80s, and that southwest wind up to 30 miles per hour. For tonight, we have mid-40s out there, partly cloudy and breezy, northwest wind up to 25 miles per hour. And then for tomorrow, lower 60s out there, partly cloudy and breezy, and that northwest wind up to around 25 miles per hour. Let's check out your extended forecast. Mostly sunny for your Friday with highs in the low 70s. Mostly cloudy for your Saturday with highs also in the low 70s. And then here we are for Sunday, mostly cloudy, highs in the low 60s.
You're getting ripped off. Criminals overbill Main Care. They even charge for fake services, and Janet Mills let it happen. I'm Jonathan Bush. I've built systems that stopped fraud and abuse and saved customers millions. As governor, I'll audit every program and reduce that waste and fraud. Politicians and lobbyists don't have what it takes to clean up this corruption, but I do. I'm Jonathan Bush. Let's shake up Augusta.
Rennie's, a main adventure.
It's barbecue season. You gotta get to Rennie's. We've got mustard, relish, tongs, coolers, you name it.
Bacon grease. Thank you for shopping Rennie's.
Get to Rennie's.
We still can't agree on how to pronounce Costas.
It's Costas.
One thing we can agree on is the delicious American, Italian, and Greek food made from scratch. And that cozy fireplace room is perfect for a night out.
Yeah, but the back bar is so much fun. Trivia, name that tune, big screen TVs, and of course the same great food.
Welcome to Costas! Welcome to Costas!
However you say it, head to KOSTA' Restaurant and Bar today.
When disaster strikes, who do you call? Penobscot Cleaning Services for smoke and fire damage, water and storm damage, and even nasty mold. Who do you call? Penobscot Cleaning Services for the cleanest carpets, guaranteed. Who do you call? Penobscot Cleaning Services, from cleanup to restoration and everything in between.
Wow!
Tell your insurance company you want Penobscot Cleaning Services. Visit our website for more info. We'll restore things to normal in no time.
Whenever Keke Palmer's in the house, there's no telling what will happen.
I don't know if I can say this on TV, but you know.
And this morning on GMA, our friend Keke lights up your morning live. Sound good, Keke?
I would love that so much.
This morning on
Good Morning America.
In Santa Barbara, California, Saturday, it was Dog Day afternoon time where dogs got their day in the sun for proud pet owners. The first Fiesta Dog Parade went off like a stroll in the park with dogs and pets in full show mode at Santa Barbara's Paso Nuevo Mall, with some owners choosing to walk the street with their furry pals and others deciding to give their canine a ride down it. And just to make sure pets were safe during the parade, hydration stations were set up along the route. Some of the dogs were more than domestic pets, featuring dogs with a purpose to help their human friends.
Tierra is a 5-year-old Bernie Doodle. She is a very good girl. She's a therapy dog, and we volunteer with Therapy Dogs of Santa Barbara. We go to the airport every week. We go to schools. She does a reading program with kids, so that helps children in our community. I'm very excited, and this was for our dog Jagger that we lost 5 months ago.
Well, the event was a head start to Santa Barbara's Old Spanish Days Fiesta, which will put on 5 days of nights of music, dancing, and food and fun in August. Santa Barbara's Humane Society also helps sponsor the dog parade.
Looks like fun.
I love all the little outfits.
Right, yeah. And while finding a frog inside homes in Australia is not that uncommon, some Australian housemates' video went viral after they found a frog inside their salad bag.
Honestly, so much feedback about it being AI. I feel like it's actually wild, the fact that we barely know how to use our phones, so I don't think we even could put something like that together.
Yeah, he was just chilling in the bag. I think he was having a hell of a time, really. But yeah, lucky the bag had a few holes in it and he had plenty of pastures to graze on. So yeah, no, he was enjoying it.
We released him. We got him out of the plastic and we set him free with his little snack of lettuce. We live close to a dam, so he was able to get next to the water again and get outside.
Yeah, just sitting there. So we thought we'd give him a wee send-off tune, and we played Crazy Frog for him. So yeah, he was pretty happy again. Yeah.
The housemates named the frog Greg before they released him. The lettuce was bought from the country's largest supermarket chain, Woolworths. The company says it's an isolated incident and there are no other similar cases reported.
Oh, wow.
Never know what you're going to find.
I guess not.
I always check my lettuce carefully because every now and then you get stories like that with spiders and things like that in it. But
creepy crawlies.
Yeah, that would be kind of neat, finding a little
frog.
Yeah, I don't know if he'd eat the lettuce after
funny.
that, but yeah.
Well, that's all the time that we have left for this hour, but you can join us for the second hour of Good Morning Maine. That's next on Fox 22.
Thanks for being there, everyone. We hope you have a great day.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are all
this before too many times. Tired of being customer 45978? Yeah, we would be too. Speed means fast uploads, no lag, and zero buffering. But it also means calling you back, showing up on time, and treating you like a person, not a problem. So whether you're working, streaming, gaming, or all three, it is time to make the switch to a provider that actually tries. Go NetSpeed. Service isn't dead. It just moved local.
This spring, invest in your nest with the County Federal Credit Union. Your home has grown in value, season after season. With the county's 1010 Home Equity Line of Credit, you can borrow up to your credit limit over 10 years with interest-only payments over those 10 years. 1010. And then you can stop and smell the roses, soak up the sun, and invest in your nest. The 1010 Home Equity Line of Credit, the County Federal Credit Union, countyfcu.org.
Think you know Robert Charles? Think again. While President Trump was crushing the woke left, DC insider Bob Charles was cashing in, making millions holding lucrative contracts with the woke DEI Never Trump Obama administration. Bob Charles, looking the other way, abandoning the MAGA movement, working for liberal DEI-loving Democrats, failing President Trump. Anything for a buck chuck can't be trusted. Trump traitor Robert Charles, woke, radical, wrong. Just too liberal for Maine.
Judge Judy never misses a beat.
This is my playpen.
Let me stop you.
Don't stop me ever. Is not an answer. I love this job.
Judge Judy.
Weekdays at 6 on Fox 22.
Good Morning Maine on WFVX, Fox 22. From the Great Northwoods to the Rockbound Coast and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Hello, everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, state officials have released more information regarding the investigation into the Robbins Lumber Mill fire. We'll bring you the very latest.
Plus, Democratic gubernatorial candidate Hannah Pingree has picked up an endorsement from current Maine Governor Janet Mills.
And the Maine Discovery Museum and the Hollywood Casino will be hosting the Maine Science Awards, the first ones.
Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Janessa Bishop.
And I'm Craig Colson. Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday morning. We'll have those stories and more coming up. We also have a neat feature about a woman who uses things she finds on the forest floor to build incredible sculptures of little animals and things.
Woodland creatures.
Yeah, kind of neat.
It is really cool.
We'll give you a look at that as well coming up. But first, to check out that forecast, coming off a very